Hello, I'm Miss Ashley from Fevo Kids Art Academy, and welcome to another amazing art class. For our project today, we're going to be learning how to draw Princess Tiana from Walt Disney's The Princess and the Frog. For a list of supplies, check in the description of this video. Let's go ahead and get started. Here we have Princess Tiana, and you're going to have the choice if you want to add some glitter and gems to this picture. But before we do that, let's go ahead and get started with our practice draw. I want you to make sure that you're using that pencil, but I'll be using a sharpie so you can see my lines. Make sure your paper is vertical, which means up and down. And we're going to draw kind of like a backwards 3 by drawing a curve first, and then a curve out that comes down. That's going to be her forehead and her cheek. On the right side, we're going to bring this curve down for her chin. Then we'll draw a backwards C for the ear. Make sure you do have this line right here. And then we're going to bring this curve up, backwards C, curve down. All right, let's draw the top part of her hair first before we start with those eyes. So right where that forehead ends, we're going to continue that curve and bring it all the way down to her ear. And then going back to that forehead, we're going to curve that all the way down to her ear again. So right now it kind of looks like she's got a headband, but this is actually going to be part of her hair. So now let's go ahead and finish off the rest of her hair and her crown before we start with those eyes. So we actually need to add another rainbow. And now we're going to draw the leaves by curving out and up, curve down. Now if it goes off the paper, that is totally okay. I'm actually going to draw a curve, curve down, curve, and another curve. Curve up and down, curve up and down. Now, where that last curve was, excuse me, where that last curve was, we need to find roughly the middle, and we're going to curve it to the top of the ear. Then, we're actually going to start, this is the middle of that crown. We're going to draw this big curve and curve it again. All right, now we can go ahead and get started with the face. Her eyes are pretty large, so we're going to add this curve and a curve. Curve and another curve. So it's almost like they're kind of in the shape of footballs or a little bit stretched out gumdrops. We do, however, need to add that eyelid, so you're going to start from the inner corner of that eye. You're going to curve up and out. And then bring that curve back in. And we're going to do the same thing here and out, back in. So those are her eyelashes. So it looks like she's got some eyeliner. Now we need to draw a U-shaped curve and another U-shaped curve. Another curve, and another curve. So it's like we're drawing circles, only that the top of those circles are being blocked by the eyelid. So curve and curve, so that's the highlight. We're going to draw her eyebrows, but we want to make sure that they're not pencil thin. So I'm going to draw a straight line closer to the where the bridge of her nose is, and then curve it back up. All right, so now that we have our eyes and eyebrows, her nose is a little bit wider than the other Disney princesses, so we do want to indicate that by drawing a curve here, slight curve, and slight curve there. Not by much, but just a little tiny bit. Curve up, down, and out for the top of her lip. Curve down, back up. Now you could have her mouth closed if you wanted to. However, I think that the princesses look really nice when they show a little bit of their teeth. So you do want to go slanted down at a curve and connect. So if that were her bottom lip, it would be a little bit too large. So we're going to add another curve just so it shows that she's smiling. All right, now go ahead, add her neck by starting at the bottom of her chin, curve, and then where that jawline is, we're going to curve again. And then we're going to add her shoulders. And this shoulder is slightly raised, so it needs to be higher. So it's looking a little bit more like this. We're going to draw some teardrop shapes for her necklace. Same on this side. There's more on this side because she is in 3/4 view, but you can add a few here and then draw a line to connect. All right, we'll add a few more details to her hair for our final draw, but that is it for Princess Tiana for our practice draw. So let's go ahead and put that practice draw aside and work on our final draw. So make sure for that final draw you are still using your pencil because you may need to erase a few things. But I'll be using Sharpie still so you can see my lines. Make sure your paper is vertical, which means up and down. And we're going to be drawing that curve for the forehead, curve down for her jawline. Then I'm going to bring this curve down and connect. I'm going to draw that backward C for the ear. And because we can't see a little bit more of her ear, I'm going to bring that curve for the top of her ear, backward C, and curve down. Again, if you ever need to pause the video and rewatch a step, you can always go ahead and do so. Now we're going to draw that part of her hair that kind of looks like a headband at first. We're going to continue this curve all the way down to her ear. And we're going to draw that again, going down. All right, let's now go ahead and get started with that crown she has. We're just going to draw a smaller stretched out rainbow. And then we'll draw the leaves. Curve to a point, curve to a point, curve to a point, back down. So this leaf is in front of all the others. Curve to a point and back down. So this leaf is in front of this one. Curve, point, and down. Curve, down. Now we do need to add a little bit more details to those leaves. So let's draw some curved lines right in the middle of those leaves. And then we're going to add the rest of her hair by bringing this curve, making sure it meets in the middle. All right, Tiana does have some loose curls that are falling out from her updo, so we're going to draw these wavy lines. And wavy lines, and it's okay to even go so small. Now that teardrop. You can have fun with her hair if you would like to. You don't even have to have that if you don't want to. I think it makes it look a little bit more interesting. And then curve down and curve again. Now at the end of those hairs, they are a little bit thicker, so just make sure it does go shorter and then wider at the ends. Now we can go ahead and draw those eyes by drawing a rainbow with a slightly curved line underneath. Rainbow, slightly curved line underneath. Now remember, this top part is part of our eyelid, so we do need to start at the inner corner of our eye. Bring that up and curve out. Curve back to the corner. If you need to see that up close, I can go ahead and show you. So here, curve up and curve, and bring it back to the corner, because these parts are going to be filled in, but I don't want you to fill it in right now. I'm just showing you how it will look at the finished result. Then you're going to draw those slightly hidden circles. So the top parts are hidden by the eyelids. Curve, and curve, curve, and curve. These small circles are going to be those highlights, so make sure to add those. Then the eyebrows. Draw a curve line. Straight lines at the end. And curve right there. Do you want to do kind of this sideways V? Line up, and up. Add that slanted line, because remember her face is in 3/4 profile, so this right here is foreshorten. Up, down, up, curve, bring that curve down. Curve, and a U-shaped curve. So there we have her mouth. Now we can go ahead and add that neck by going to the bottom of her chin, and that curve, and curve there. This shoulder is slightly down a bit more, but the one on her, so it's her left but our right, is slightly higher. So we're going to curve that up and back down. And then we'll add those teardrops for her necklace. And if part of those teardrops are cropped off at the bottom, that is totally okay. And then we'll draw a line to connect. If you want to add any additional details to the picture, so for example, she does have these, not quite antennas, but they're part of a plant, it looks like. You can add those lines to the picture, or if you want to add more to that background, maybe that swamp or maybe a lake, that is totally up to you. I'm just going to leave my picture as is, so when you are done, it should look something like this. All right. The first thing I am going to do is I'm going to be taking my black Sharpie and I am going to be outlining all those things that need to be outlined in black. So I recommend watching along with me and then doing it for yourself. So for example, we need to make sure that her hair here is outlined, but don't outline her face because we're going to be doing that in a bit with a brown Sharpie. So right now, I'm just outlining the hair. And this part needs to go all the way right here. Also this part here and this part here needs to be black. Alright, so make sure that part of the hair is outlined. If you do need to pause the video for any reason, you can go ahead and do so. I am going to be zooming in on those eyes so you can see what we need to outline and fill in with our black Sharpie. So first things first, let's go ahead and outline those eyebrows. And then we're going to fill it in with our black Sharpie. Just because it is a small area and we can quickly take care of that area while we have our black Sharpie. All right, now this is where it can get a little bit tricky with those eyes. So I do recommend watching me first before moving on. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to where that corner of the eye is, and you're going to outline and bring it back down and close and fill this in. Do that again. So go to the inner corner of the eye, outline up, down, and close, and fill this part in. So those are her eyelashes, like she's got some nice eyeliner as well. Then we're going to take our Sharpie, outline only the pupil, and fill it in. Because she has brown eyes, so we'll outline that in brown Sharpie in just a bit. And same right here. Now, if you want to, you can always make this a little bit thicker if you would like. That is up to you. Just make sure to not go too thick or trace over anything else. All right, we're going to zoom back out of our picture. And now we're going to be taking our brown Sharpie and outlining more of our picture. But remember, we're not outlining everything in brown. So let's go ahead. Don't forget that small part of her forehead. I'm going to outline that in brown. And her ear as well. And her neck. Try your best to avoid outlining her necklace. And also, so I'm just going to zoom in again so you can see. I am going to outline the eyelid, the iris, And then I'm also going to outline her nose. So that should be everything in brown. Please don't outline her lips or her crown because we're going to be doing that with a different color. So now, once you're done with that, it should look something like this. Now what we're going to do is I am going to be taking out my favorite markers, my bold and bright colors. And what I am going to do is I am first going to take my seafoam green. I'm going to outline only the headband part here. And I'm going to fill it in. And I like to use those long strokes, get as close as I can. I'm also going to outline and fill in the gems on her necklace. If you are still working on any part of the picture, you can always pause this video. But I'm just making sure to fill in those gems. The next color I am going to choose is my electric lime. But if you have a light green, that works as well. And what we're going to do next is we're going to outline her crown, but we're not going to fill it in. So I'm going to take my electric lime and outline the crown. This helps us to know what areas we need to avoid filling in, because we are going to go back over and fill in her hair. So there we have her crown. You can also go over those lines if you've added those. All right. I do have my infrared, but I also do have my brown, or excuse me, my red Mr. Sketch marker. Now her lips are kind of this dark red violet color, and so it's kind of a little bit tricky to mimic that, but so I am going to take my red and just outline with my regular red, and then take my infrared. You could just use red if you wanted to, or if you have a red violet, you could do that as well. I'm just going to do a little bit of blending though. We will go to colored pencil in just a bit, just to make those lips a little bit darker. All right. We do need to fill in her hair, which will probably take just a little bit of time. So make sure you do have your black Mr. Sketch. You could use Sharpie if you wanted to. It will take a little bit longer, but I'm going to start coloring in sections. I like to work from top to bottom, left to right. So I'm first going to work on this section right here by outlining her hair, making sure to avoid coloring on those leaves on her crown. And if you see any white spots, make sure to take care of those. And fill them in. I'm also going to fill in this area here. I like to use those long strokes, top to bottom, or go left or right. All right, if you find it easier to turn your paper around to fill in any areas, you can go ahead and do so. But I'm just going to start on this far side, getting as close as I can to those lines. If that's a little tricky to stay in those lines, you can always switch to a Sharpie. As close as we can. I'm actually going to switch it around this way just to fill in